It's Halloween time. And you know what that means? It means when the crypt doors creak and the tombstones quake, spooks come out for a swinging wake. Happy haunts materialize and begin to vocalize. Grim grinning ghosts come out to socialize. But they're not the only ones that are out about socializing at this haunted time of year. You got goblins, you got monsters. They're all out to get you. You never know what's going to be around the next bend. Those nights when werewolves cry to the moon, when vampires roam looking for blood, Frankenstein's walking. You never know what horror you might see in this horrific time of year. But who cares? Because it's that time of year when we love to get scared. Yeah, I don't know why, but leave that up to the psychologist to tell us and figure out exactly why. But it's not all like that. You know, you got trick or treaters at your door. And there is one door to one very specific house with a very specific family that may seem weird to most people, but at this time, it's their holiday. But there are a family that we love because they're creepy and they're kooky, mysterious and spooky. They're all together, ooky, the Addams Family. So let's take a walk down memory lane with the Addams Family and their many movie adventures that we have enjoyed, some more so than others. This is a look at the ranking, for me personally, when it comes to that family that we love, the Addams Family. For my ranking of Addams Family movies, I'm going to include ones that weren't theatrically released and were made for TV movies. With those in mind, that comes to a total of 6 Addams Family films to talk about. So, coming in at number 6 at the bottom of our list is Addams Family Reunion. Now, I watched this for the first time a couple weeks ago because I had completely forgot about it and was reminded about it when I did some research for this list. And yes, it's bad. First, though, let's talk about the positives for this film. The best thing to come out of this definitely was Wednesday, who was played by Nicole Furger. I'm sorry if I butcher last name. Never something I'm good at. And this is because she just played Wednesday so well. This was a great version of Wednesday. It felt like the movies that had come before it. And this was the Wednesday that a lot of people grew up with, at least this version of her or this type of Wednesday. She was so good in this, in fact, that she's the only one that actually carried on to the intended TV series, The New Addams Family, which I enjoy. That alone should tell you just how good she was in her performance. That being said, the other great thing is apparently Lurch is the same actor. Carl Strucken, again, apologize on the name. He was Lurch in the first 2 Addams Family movies, Addams Family and Addams Family Values. So right there, you got another great person, or in this case, past player actor from the Addams Family coming back. And he was a lot of fun. Though I will say, he didn't really have a lot to do in this film. And some of the jokes were funny, some of the instances were funny. But overall, this film drastically falls short. And that has to do with the story and the actors. Right off the bat, I'll give you one example actor-wise. Tim Curry. Tim Curry's funny. He's good in other roles. I mean, I love him as Long John Silver in Muppet Treasure Island. Love it. He has a great voice actor in films like Ferngully, The Last Rainforest. He's a good actor, but he is not Gomez. He was just not right at all for this part. It wasn't funny. It didn't feel like Gomez. At least to me, it didn't feel like whether it was the movies we'd gotten or even the original Gomez. Same thing with Morticia. I'm sorry, but she just didn't work. Every other character, except the 2 that I mentioned, just fell out of place. The story It could have led to some really funny, interesting moments, but it didn't. It was boring. Basically, the story is about the Addams family decides we want to explore our family and see what other terrifying relatives we have. They get this invitation, and what do you know? By the way, there's going to be spoilers here because I don't think you're going to see this movie. And if you are, more power to you. But basically, they go, and of course, it is not the family they think it is. It's a normal, loving family, except for the fact that they have their own problems. But the Addams definitely take them down a notch. And this idea could have worked. It just wasn't executed well. It didn't go the distance it needed to go. Also, there's a subplot where another member of the other Addams family group gets somehow taken off course. They don't really explain how it happens. I mean, I'm guessing it's because of the ancestry site that they used. Excuse me. But somehow they end up at the Addams family house with Granny still there and Thing is still there, I think. And that's like a whole subplot of them dealing with that. Who cares? That was no. You could have cut that plot out and somehow incorporated some of those ideas into the full movie itself, where it's our Addams family against the other Addams family and just how they collide or how they butt heads when it comes to their ideals. There is admittedly, semi-funny action scene at the end, and some of the stuff that happens to them is amusing. But it's not enough to save this film. The visuals, what special effects there are, they're just not good. A lot of the laughs, like I said, they might be good, but they're cheap. This movie just is not good. I do not recommend it. If you're an Addams Family fan and you haven't seen this movie, just skip it. Ignore it. Maybe look for the best moments on YouTube. I'm sure somebody has the best Addams Family reunion moments up here. But just, you don't need to watch this movie. It's not good. If you want to see something good that came out of this, look for the new Addams Family TV show. That's what this movie was supposed to start, and that is so much better. So, Addams Family Reunion comes in at the bottom of the list at number 6. Coming in at number 5, we have Halloween with the new Addams Family. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to say the only good thing about this movie, or television movie, is it's most of the original cast from the TV show in color. And that's the best thing about it, is getting to see our established Addams Family cast back after I don't know how many years it had been at this point that we hadn't had the live action show. But that alone is a good reason to watch this film, and that is the only truly great thing about this film. Again, like all the Addams Family movies and things, there are good gags. There's funny bits, funny seeing them try to interact with us normal people. But this really does feel more like an extended version of one of their Halloween episodes. If I remember, I did watch this once, but I think the overall story is somebody's trying to find the Addams Family gold or trying to kill Gomez like they do in just about any other movie or any other episode. And of course, they got to stop it. The Addams Family's oblivious, except for Thing. And the other thing, that I'm not a huge fan of is you do have Wednesday come back. I think it's the same actress. I'm not sure about that. But then they have another kid, Wednesday Jr. No. Does not work. And really, all Wednesday does is she's there playing the piccolo or the flute. I forget what she's playing. And every time something's going to happen, she has to knock, tell Thing to go take care of it. It just feels so bland. doesn't really go anywhere. And the only reason this, again, is better than Reunion definitely has to be the cast, because that original cast proved themselves time and time again with the TV show. And they were the ones, aside from the original cartoon strip, that made most people fall in love with the Addams Family and these characters and this world. So that right there already establishes it higher on this list than Reunion does. So yeah, I found this on YouTube, I believe. So if you want to check it out, look here on YouTube. I'm pretty sure it's there. I don't know where else it might be, but there's no intro to it. You have a kind of I'm going to call it a Simpsons couch gag at the beginning a little bit. But other than that, yeah, it's just an extended episode of that original TV show as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I can tell. Now, I haven't gone through the entire original Addams Family show, so maybe there's an episode where they have another kid and I don't know about that. But point is, it's just not high on this list. It was a made-for-TV movie, and that's very clear from the start of it. So that is why Halloween with the New Addams Family comes in at number 5. Coming in at number 4, we have The Addams Family 2, the sequel to that animated film which came out a couple years ago. Now, right off the bat, I did not like this movie the first time I saw it. It was not what I was expecting, because I loved that first film. And this one just felt so different from that one. At the time, I thought maybe it was the experience, because, yeah, I was surrounded by kids. I mean, I know cartoons and animated, it's a family film, but I loved the first one. I thought I could love this one. And kids were rowdy, and I thought maybe that influenced my feelings about this film. So I watched it again preparing for this video. Yeah, no, it's still not good. I mean, the animation is fantastic. I love the voice casts. They're great, whether it's Oscar Isaac as Gomez, Charlize Theron as Morticia, Chloe Grace, I can't remember how you say her last name, as Wednesday. Just the whole cast is fantastic. And there's a decent story in here somewhere. Honestly, I think if they had just taken the Addams Family and the story had just been about them going on a vacation, or let's say a summer vacation, that alone could have been fun. You could have seen all the different problems or all the headbutting things they get into with most people. And of course, you have some plot in there. Maybe you keep the idea of Pugsley trying to get a girlfriend. You could keep that in there. It could work. But I feel where this movie definitely fell flat was the Wednesday story, because this was definitely more of a Wednesday story than an Addams Family story. This Wednesday didn't really feel like the same from the first one. Even though she looked the same, she was voiced by the same actress, she just felt off. Because Wednesday is a character that I feel like is just accepting. She knows where she belongs. She knows she's part of the Addams Family. And yeah, her family can get on her nerves, as they added that to her character here in these films. But she's accepting of that. This film said, let's ignore what we established in the first one. Let's ignore the fact that she saves her family and she loves her family by the end of that film. And let's bring it back to the point where they're so embarrassing. Like any kid problem, as kids, we all think our parents are embarrassing to us. And let's focus on that, and let's give an idea of, oh, there's this scientist who might actually be her dad, because he's as smart as she is. He thinks the way she does, which is another aspect that I'm like, you kind of just threw this in there. I mean, there were hints in that first one that Wednesday was a scientist of sorts, but it never felt like it was key to her character. At least I didn't get that impression from the first film. So it just felt like they added a lot of stuff to this film, or a lot of substance to characters, that didn't really make sense or really flow with that first film. And what they do with Uncle Fester, it's okay, it's funny at times, but again, it just kind of felt like, did we really need this extra plot? Or you could have had it, but it didn't need to go as far as it went. With that being said, again, voice cast is great. They are these characters as far as I'm concerned. The animation style is fantastic. I love the look of it. I think there are plenty of humorous jokes in here, plenty of funny moments, plenty of possibilities with this movie, which is why it's higher on the list. But it doesn't put that nail in the spot that's like, okay, this is a great movie. This is a great Addams Family. This is what the Addams Family should be, and a worthy successor to that first film. Now, don't get me wrong. If they were to make another one, which I don't know if they will, considering I don't think this one did well, I would watch it because I love the look of it. Like I said, I love what they did with it. The story, though, it just didn't quite work for me. And the additions or ways they changed the characters up a little bit, yeah, that didn't work for me either. So that is why The Addams Family 2, the animated film, comes in at number 4. We've hit the top 3, and these are the Addams Family films that I just love. These are the ones I can watch again and again. And compared to those bottom 3, yeah, maybe I'll watch them again, but these 3 are the ones I really love. And I will admit, were hard to figure out exactly where they go on the list. But I'm doing a ranking, so they got to go somewhere. So coming in at number 3 is that original The Addams Family film. Now, before you kill me, before anybody kills me over this, I love this movie. The cast is perfect. The humor is perfect. Everything feels like The Addams Family. Watching this movie compared to the original TV show, again, as of right now, since I haven't finished the original show, this feels like what I thought The Addams Family was. You got Gomez and you got Morticia. You got them. They're dark, but they're in love. They love their family. They're humorous, whether it's the speaking French to each other and speak more to me, Tisha, or the absurd things that Wednesday does to Pugsley. The way she tortures him, and yet he loves it. You got Christopher Lloyd as Fester. I'll admit, if you told me Christopher Lloyd was Fester originally, before I ever watched this film, before I ever really thought anything of it, I might be like, I don't know how that will work. But he's great. He is just fantastic as Fester. And the story here, the story's a good one. There's plenty of humor in it. There's plenty of adventure. But that's why, for me, it falls short a little bit. Because I love Addams Family humor, if you haven't figured that out by now. And I love when they interact with normal people. But with this film, it feels like it's all about the story. And the story is a good one. But it just doesn't feel, I guess, as spontaneous to me as some of the other ones or some of the other moments. It doesn't feel as, I don't want to say not memorable, but I find myself not re-laughing or smiling at the jokes all the time. Now, I will admit, I don't watch it as often as maybe some people do. And the last time I watched it a couple weeks ago, I loved it. I was smiling, I was laughing, I was having a good time with it. My wife had never seen it the whole way through. Actually, I don't think she'd ever seen it. And she loved it. So yeah, it has so many good things, whether it's the performances, the humor, the representation, or the embodiment of these characters. Because these are the personalities that many of us have come to know and come to associate with these characters. Whatever it might be, this movie, this original film, is fantastic. It is not to be messed with. It stands the test of time. What couple visuals they have are still great. I mean, Thing is there walking by itself, just on the floor with just half a hand. Now, I'm sure they did it with somebody doing that with a blue screen or CG or whatever, but that was more than the original thing in the original film, in the original TV show. So that was good. Great performance there. And I love how some of the non-Addams Family characters, how they changed and how they're brought back later on in the next film. Things I totally forgot. But this movie definitely is great. It is the standard, I think, for Addams Family, what an Addams Family movie should be. But it's just the fact that it's so focused on story to me that I'm like, you're missing part of the Addams Family charm. You're missing part of what I love about the Addams Family. Again, story's great, story's important. You need something to drive the film. But this is not the one that I think of the most, or this is not the one that I love the most when it comes to the Addams Family movies. But, like I said, I will always give it credit for establishing, can't talk, the way we view certain characters now when it comes to the Addams Family mythology. So that's why the Addams Family movie comes in at number 4. Oh, the joys of not being able to talk or doing a video in general. Whether it's not being able to speak clearly or forgetting that you're on number 3 instead of number 4. So, yes, the Addams Family did come in at number 3. Coming in at number 2, we have the Addams Family. And hold it, that is not a mistake. When I say the Addams Family comes in at number 2, I'm talking about the animated film that came out a couple years ago. I love this movie. It's funny. It has a good story, but it never shies away or never scampers, as Sing would do, away from the humor. It's a very, I'm going to say very loose story about basically the origin for the Addams Family, at least this version of it, where Morticia and Gomez got married, why they ended up where they ended up, though it is different, how they met Lurch, and what their kids are like. But it takes that and then throws in the idea of, hey, we've got this picture perfect town right down the street, and what happens when they realize the Addams Family is living right up the hill from them. And that alone is an interesting story, I think. But then you throw in, of course, the corrupt, I guess, let's say city official or person in charge, because she's not the mayor, she's not an elected official, she's the head of this TV show where she's trying to get people to come buy these houses. But of course, she's not all with it. She's maniacal. Everything has to be picture perfect, her way. Nothing changes. It has to be her way or the highway. And of course, the Addams Family does not match that. But it's about coming together as a family, because you've got all these different members of the Addams Family coming to celebrate Pugsley's, I forget, it's basically like a bar mitzvah, basically. And then you've got the people from the town not wanting them around, but they're being manipulated by this head woman. But they learn, hey, they're just like us. They may look different. They may be a little weird. Again, creepy, kooky, mysterious, and spooky. But they're just like us. And this woman is not. So we get to see how the Addams Family, how they would interact with real people when their family comes to town, and what a bigger area with people like the Addams Family and people like us, who we would consider normal. Okay, I just want to stop. I'm having a hard time, I admit, using these different terms or just saying them and us, because the Addams Family is us. They're just a slightly different version from us. What I'm saying is, the norm, basically. The Addams Family is not the norm. So when I say us and them, I mean what people would consider the norm versus what people would consider not to be the norm. I just wanted to establish that because I feel like inevitably, if I don't, somebody will put something down in the comments about something like that. So, getting back to the main point of this video, they ultimately, of course, spoilers for this movie, if you haven't seen it, they ultimately come together. You got people learning, hey, we're not that different. We may look different. We may act a little different. But the Addams Family is just like us. They care about their family, just like we care about each other. Now, I have to admit, I think the plot might be a little thin. The original Addams Family movie definitely overall has a better plot than this one does. But I love the humor. And like I keep saying, that's what I go for with the Addams Family films. Give me a pretty simple story and bring on the humor. And let's see what it's like when the weirdness of the Addams Family meets the acceptable or the norm of what we would consider this world in our world, and what happens when they clash. That's exactly what this movie does with that small plot. And I feel like this film does something some of the other ones don't. It shows us the outside world, at least to the Addams Family. It shows us that world more and why they want to be kept away, why they hide themselves away at times. Though that's a departure from other films and other stories, other plot lines. But if you look at it as an origin story, then you understand that. But like I said, I think the overall plot is good. Did we need a mustache twirling maniacal villain? I don't really know. Like I said, the original Addams Family movie definitely has a better plot, probably more straightforward, and actually has substance to it compared to this film. But for me, this film has it where it counts. And like I've said, my top 3 Addams Family films, I love them all. It just is, if you ask me, do you want to watch this Addams Family or this one? Which one am I going to choose? So for all that, because I did mention all of my things I like about the animated Addams Family movies when it came to number 2. Again, that was the animation style, the voice cast. But here, this set the bar. This established this version of the Addams Family, which I felt like wasn't carried over into the second film. Again, with all that being said, the Addams Family, see, still can't talk. The Addams Family, the animated film, comes in at number 2. And now we've reached the top, what I consider to be the creme de la creme. My favorite Addams Family movie, the one that, if I have to choose just one Addams Family movie to watch, I'm probably going to watch this one. And that is the Addams Family Values. I love this movie. It's straightforward. It has an interesting story. Every character gets their moment. It feels very Addams Family, with whether it's Pugsley and Wednesday at summer camp, Morticia and Gomez dealing with the birth of their child, who inevitably looks like us later on. Not that pale look to them that the Addams Family do, but just too much color as far as they're concerned. Likes things that, like The Cat in the Hat. Oh God, that book is so terrible. It should be banned. No, it shouldn't. That's just what Morticia would say. And then you got the Fester story as well. I mean, yeah, maybe it's not great having kind of 3 different stories going along at the same time, but they all mesh together. There's a reason that every single one of them happens. And I just laugh every time I watch this movie, especially at the stuff with summer camp, because I'm like, yeah, they do have a point there. And those campers are terrible, and those counselors are just jerks and they need to be taken down a notch. They need to be taught a lesson. Whether it's the ultimately the wife that Fester gets. And yeah, from the moment you can kind of tell you're like, something's not right with this woman. And they tell you, of course, they tell you what it is pretty quick. You figure it out. I mean, it just hits all the notes for me. Does it have the Addams Family humor? Yes. Does it have the darkness, but the comedic darkness of the Addams Family? Yes. Does it have what we think is normal versus what the Addams Family think is normal? Yes. Are the performances fantastic? Of course, it's the same cast from that first film. It's fantastic. They've already proven it. Is the story good? Yes. The story itself is solid. Of course, some people could argue it's partly a paint by numbers story. We've seen things like that before. Maybe it's too diverged and they want the Addams Family more together. But I say it's good. I love it. It's simple. But it's everything I wanted from an Addams Family movie. I haven't mentioned this. The look. The look of these films is superb. It's, I mean, to be honest, you're not quite sure where their house is, which is something that, yes, Reunion did, but that's like there's nobody around because they're like in a totally away from everybody. It's ridiculous. And the New Addams Family, I'm sorry, Halloween with the New Addams Family, they changed the house a little bit, but it was still clearly in a neighborhood of some kind. With this one, they never really identify where that is or where they're living. But you don't really need to because the house looks great. The visuals, the gags, every little detail about this world and their home, and it's just great. And by the end, you think, oh, it's a shame this didn't happen. But they leave you hanging a little bit with saying, hey, some good stuff could come out of this. And it kind of does make you think, what if there was a third movie with this cast in this Addams Family universe, let's call it. Now, I do want to mention one thing here. I've always felt that the Addams Family themselves must have some, if you want to talk scientifically, they must have something in their body throughout the whole family that's some type of mutation. And I'm not talking about the way they look. I'm talking about the fact that they can get blown up. They can get electrocuted. They can have all this stuff happen to them and they don't die. Now, don't tell me, I know it's a cartoon, it's a comic book. No, sorry, it's a comic strip. It's a movie. I get it. But recently I was just thinking about that. And maybe it's me needing to put some logic into my head. But even if I'm the only one, I don't care. Because as far as I'm concerned, there is something different, good different, about the Addams Family and their offspring that allows them to almost not die. Or basically not die from stuff that would kill an ordinary man or woman. So, for all those reasons, the Addams Family Values is my number one pick for the best Addams Family movie. And there you have it. That's my ranking. That's my list. My opinions when it comes to every Addams Family movie. Again, theatrical and direct-to-television. If for some reason you bypassed all that and you just skipped to the end here, which I don't know why you would do that, here was my list. Coming in at number six, was Addams Family Reunion. Coming in at number 5 was Halloween with the New Addams Family. Coming in at number 4 was The Addams Family 2. Coming in at number 3 was The Addams Family. Coming in at number 2 is The Addams Family, the animated movie. And coming in at number 1 was Addams Family Values. Now, I'll be honest. For the most part, I enjoy all the Addams Family things. They all have something to enjoy. They all have that thing that makes them their own. That makes them unique. Even Addams Family Reunion, like I said. There is no Addams Family film, as far as I'm concerned, that is just the bottom, just the pits, that you should never, ever, ever watch. That never should have been made. Now, ultimately, yes, maybe there are 1 or 2 that you could say shouldn't have been made because they don't need to be made. But it's the Addams Family. There's something about them that we just enjoy. We just love. And maybe some people just get too stuck up or too hard-headed when it comes to the Addams Family. They're supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be entertaining. They're supposed to show us a side of this world that we not necessarily can be part of. They show us the fun side of living, the fun side of this world. They show us you don't have to be serious all the time. You can be different. No matter what people say, you can be different. But they also talk about family. And they say, look, we might not be exactly like you, but we care about our family. Family is the most important thing to us. And it always will be. So whether it's family, geez, everything's about family, isn't it? Whether it's about friendship, whether it's being true to yourself, or even if it's just that theme song. Because, hey, who doesn't love a good that? You know? Wait, was there? Yeah, I think there was probably a Cousin That at some point. But anyway, if you've never watched an Addams Family movie, what are you waiting for? Why did you watch this? But hey, if I get you to watch any of the films, then I've done my job. Even if I have spoiled parts of the films for you, still watch them. They're still enjoyable. Ultimately, I didn't spoil any really, really big plot points. But with that being said, what do you think of the Addams Family films? Have you watched all of them? Are there some you didn't know existed? Are there some that you just chose not to? Are you going to go back and watch them? If you've never watched an Addams Family film, are you going to go and watch some of them now? What's your history or what's your past when it comes to the Addams Family? Do you love them? Do you hate them? Where do we differ when it comes to the Addams Family and ranking? Remember, this ranking is mine, but I want to know yours. We won't agree on everything. So, until our next ranking, until the next video, remember, enjoy what you love, read what you love, and let's all work for a better fandom. I'll see you next time.